Hello everyone, I welcome you back to an entirely new chapter for your IGCSE Biology, and this goes with the heading of Reproduction in Humans. The motive of today's class is to give you an entire overview of the sexual reproduction that takes place within the bodies of the humans. Now, what we know is that the humans they reproduce sexually, so there would be the involvement of the male parent and the female parent. So the usual idea is that when the male individuals and the female individuals, when they become sexually mature, so we see on toward the side of the males that in their testes, which they have in their reproductive tract. Hello everyone, I welcome you back to an entirely new chapter, and this goes with the name of reproduction in human. Before we see all the aspects of this reproduction in humans, I would like to give you a very basic overview of how come this takes place or is accomplished within our body. We know it very well that our reproduction is sexual reproduction, and there would be involvement of the two parents, the male parents and the female parent. The idea is that when the male parent and the female parent, when they reach their age of puberty, so they would start producing some specialized cells. They are the gametes with us, and we need to bring about the fusion of the gametes, and later we have to make a new human being or new offspring out of it. So the usual idea is that the male individuals in their reproductive tract, they have got this organ in them, and this is the testes. In the testes, there would be happening of a process, and that process is referred to as the meiosis. And during the meiosis, in the testes, the sperm cells would be produced, and they would have half the genetic material from the male parent. The sperm cell all the way would pass through the male reproductive system, and then this would be released out of their bodies, or it would be ejaculated out of their bodies. And this penile organ, which is a penis, this would enter into the female reproductive tract and it would deposit the semen having sperms in it. Moreover, if I were to talk about the female reproductive system, so they have their ovaries, then they have their oviducts here, then they have their uterus here, then we have got their cervix here, and then at the bottom, what we have with us, this is the birth canal or the vaginal canal. Now there comes a point in their life where the male and the female they have got married and they got sexually aroused. So as a result of that, the male parent is going to come and he would release the semen that would have the sperm cells in it, and they would go into the birth canal or the vaginal canal. Now on the other way, the female in their reproductive tract, since they have got these ovaries in them, and again when they have reached their age of puberty, so they would release the egg cell out of their ovaries, and this egg cell has come into their oviducts. And from this side, since we have got the sperm cell from the male parent, so this sperm cell would move all the way across the uterus, and then finally this would come here into this part of the female reproductive tract, which is the oviducts with us, or the fallopian tubes with us. In the fallopian tubes, this egg cell and the sperm cells, they both would fuse and we would make a diploid cell out of it, and that would be the zygote with us. 23 chromosomes are available within the egg cell, and 23 chromosomes are available within the sperm cells. And the zygote that has resulted out of it, it would have 46 chromosomes in it. Now, this zygote that we have with us, so this would undergo various mitotic divisions or it would undergo the mitosis, where each of the parent cell that we have here, it would divide to make two daughter cells, and that would further make the other two daughter cells, and we will make the ball of cell. And that ball of the cell is the embryo with us. Now, since I want to develop a mature human being out of it, so this embryo, with the help of the ciliated cells that we have here in the oviducts, they would push the embryo or they would allow the embryo to move or go forward and to becoming toward the soft inner lining of the uterus that we have here. So the embryo is going to come, and initially this would embed itself or this would implant itself into the uterus. Later, tiny finger-like projections they would begin to grow out of the embryo so that they can receive the nutrients and the oxygen and the other stuff from the female body or from their mother's body, and it should further grow to increase in size and develop to become more complex. Initially, you see that this embryo is directly attached with the uterus that we have here, but later an organ would form, and that organ goes with the name of placenta, and that would act as a barrier between the new developing baby and the mother. But at the same time, the growing embryo that we have got, so this would become enclosed within a sac here. And the sac that we have got, this is the amniotic sac. In the amniotic sac, there would be filling up of the fluid, and that fluid would be the amniotic fluid. And here you see that this developing baby has now got attached to the placenta with the help of this structure present between them, and this is the umbilical cord. Within the umbilical cord, we have the umbilical arteries and the umbilical veins that would bring about the exchange of material between the growing baby that we have and between the mother's body. And this would happen for the total of 9 months. At the time of the delivery, what would be happening is that this amniotic sac would rupture. The amniotic fluid would start to flow out of the cervix and then from the birth canal to the outside, and it would hint the female parent that the process of delivery has started. Now, various muscular contractions, it would begin within the uterus, and that would push this unborn baby to what we name it as a fetus to be moving out of the cervix. And the cervix is since dilated as the time of the delivery, so first the baby's head would pass through the cervix and then it would come into the birth canal. And once it is there in the birth canal, it could be assisted by the gynecologist, those who is assisting the mother in the birth process, and they would pull this baby out. When the baby is pulled out, then the doctors they would cut or they would clamp this umbilical cord. And after the delivery of the baby within 12 to 14 hours, later the placenta would detach from the uterus and it would also flow out of the body. So this is an overall overview of how come the reproduction happens in the male and the female bodies.